This is Neil's on Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't listen to me. Everything I say is to be taken as bullshit. This is for fun, not for profit or for health. Buy some silver, some platinum, some crystallized osmium, and be kind, helpful, and grateful because it's always better than being a jerk. Being a jerk might be easy, but it doesn't last long. I'm gonna start off some. Let me see here. Yeah, this will be fun. Nah, we'll start off with Swarm of Comets. Sure, let's start off with comets, since no one's here. This is boring crap anyhow, I imagine.
We'll do so over the course of the next few months by the end of the year. And so this is looking like it's going to be a very dynamic end to 2025, at least as it relates to cometary activity, and that likely will influence solar activity because we see a lot of connections between comets flying into the inner solar system and enhanced solar activity like big solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and more. We have one of these objects, that's 3I Atlas. We're not really sure if it's a comet or not. It's more of an interstellar object. It has a lot of bizarre characteristics to it. The other 6 are clearly comets. One of them, in fact, was just discovered on September 11th. It had its perihelion the next day on the 12th of September. And so that is C2025 R2 Swan. And what's so interesting about Swan is that it's kind of interacting with 3I Atlas in some ways. And so let's go forward in time to the 21st of October. We have that right here. This is when there will be a superior conjunction with 3I Atlas from the perspective of Earth. And so we see the Earth right there. We see 3I Atlas right here, and the sun's in the middle. So superior conjunction is when something's on the other side of the sun. You will notice that this comet right there, C2025 R2 Swan, is only about 0.25 astronomical units away from the Earth. That's in fact its closest approach to the Earth. And so I've been talking about this superior conjunction perihelion transit of 3I Atlas from the perspective of solar activity. It's likely to enhance solar activity because of that complex dusty plasma surrounding 3I Atlas, how it's interacting with the heliospheric current sheet. The solar wind and more. And well, it was like, okay, is this solar activity going to be Earth directed or more towards 3I Atlas because it's on the other side of the sun? Now we have a comet right there close to the Earth and along the ecliptic plane. So you look here, C2025 R2 Atlas is also only very slightly inclined off of the ecliptic plane. That's the plane that all the planets effectively hang out on. And so 3I Atlas is also only 5 degrees off from that ecliptic plane in terms of its inclination. And so this is a very dynamic transit that we have coming up on the 21st of October. And then on the 29th of October, we have the perihelion of 3I Atlas. So the appearance and discovery of C2025 R2 Swan is adding a lot of dynamicism to this entire time period. But there are other comets as well that we are tracking. And in fact, one of them will be much brighter than all the other comets, and that will be C2025 A6 Lemon. It's going to get very, very bright around its perihelion early November. But let's go down the list of these comets, their perihelion and their closest approach distance to the sun. And to do that, we have to go back to C2022 N2 Pan-STARRS, which already had its perihelion. In fact, that was back on the 31st of July. We see it right here, and its closest approach to the sun was 3.82 astronomical units. So this is one of the comets that's further out, but still within that orbit of Jupiter, getting fairly close to the inner solar system. It already has perihelion, again, July 31st. The next one we discussed, that was C2025 R2 Swan, and that perihelion was on September 12th. We can go back to that so you can check it out. Here is the 12th of September, and you'll notice it right there, basically on the ecliptic plane, and also right outside the orbit of Mercury. So here's the orbit of Mercury right there, very close in. Its distance is only 0.5 astronomical units away from the sun.
Unlock more with Disney Plus, Hulu, and all of ESPN by stepping into the ring, starting.
The next perihelion for one of these comets is from 414P Stereo at 0.52 astronomical units on September 27th. So let's find that. We'll go to the 27th of September. That one's getting quite close. Again, 0.52. And we see 414P Stereo right here. And so it will be below the ecliptic plane. And if we go forward, we see that it's continuing to fly below the ecliptic plane. So it originally came in from above, and it is now swinging down like this, but its perihelion will be on the 27th of September. So that's coming up pretty rapidly. Then after that, we have a perihelion on October 8th. And this is from C2025 K1 Atlas at only 0.33 astronomical units. So let's go forward to October 8th to check that one out. And we see how close it gets right there. Also below the ecliptic plane, it was along it earlier, and it'll be also afterwards, very, very close to the sun, and even like within that orbit of Mercury, but below. So that's then on the 8th of October. We have that superior conjunction with 3I Atlas, with Swan, that comet that we just found, being closest to the Earth on the 21st of October. Then the perihelion of 3I Atlas is on October 29th. That will be just inside the orbit of Mars. And so we can check that out. We see it here. If we go forward in time, we see 3I Atlas zooming in just within the orbit of Mars. On the 29th of October is its perihelion. We can see that pretty clearly right here. And then it will continue on. And then we have the brightest comet of the bunch. At least that is what is expected and forecasted. And that'll be from C2025 A6 Lemon on November 8th. And so let's go to that. We can go to the 8th of November. And we will see this comet get pretty close to the sun. Its closest approach is 0.53 astronomical units. And one of the reasons it's going to be so bright is because of how its orbit is lined up in relation to Earth. And so we see Lemon right here. It's above the ecliptic plane. And if I go there, maybe you can see a little better. That is its closest approach to the sun. If we go forward, we will see that it's cutting now into the ecliptic plane afterwards. But if we go back to the 8th of November, we see that it is in a very favorable position to see from Earth. And so it's expected to get to an apparent magnitude of about 4 or 3, which is very, very bright. You'll be able to see that with the naked eye. Right now, you may be able to see C2025 R2 Swan with a pair of binoculars, definitely with the telescope. It may brighten more in the days ahead. We're not sure. Maybe it becomes visible to the naked eye. Again, we don't exactly know. It does have a very long tail that's stretching out 5 times the distance of the moon in the sky from our apparent visual perspective. So that's 2.5 degrees. And it's already interacting with the solar wind. And it is possible for solar activity like coronal mass ejections to hit a comet and actually disconnect the tail. The tail of a comet is made up of dust, it's made up of ice crystals, it's made up of gas.
Sentinel. So last May, in episode 125, we did an episode on this Burke character. He was, found guilty of bribery and making false official statements. And we've been following this story ever since to find out how his sentencing went. Well, yesterday, this guy was sentenced. The max he could have gotten was 20 years. Prosecution asked for 10, and the judge gave him 6. This has a recap of this whole thing. So what happened was, this guy's a 4-star admiral. He was the number 2 most senior person in the United States Navy, and he'd also commanded U.S. naval forces in Europe. So right before retirement, he gets in bed with this company called Next Jump, and basically gets him a contract worth about $355,000, a training contract. And then he's got a side deal going on. And the side deal is very simple, that when he retires, Next Jump is going to hire him on and give him a job for about $500,000 a year. Now think about this shit. This guy's a 4-star admiral. At a minimum, he's making $200,000 plus in his retirement. And but he needs more money to live on. I mean, you got to be shitting me. I live on a lieutenant colonel's retirement, and it's more than enough. But I can't imagine a 4-star's retirement. I would definitely have better clothes on. I'd buy my shit at Walmart because I'm good with it. I don't really need to impress anybody. So he's got all these side deals going on. Now, what happens is when people have these side deals going on, they generally don't have only one side deal going on. They got multiple side deals going on. His other side deal was he had a mistress on the side, and the things went sideways between him and his mistress. So she's the one that went to the authorities and said, "Hey, this guy's pulling the scam." And when they investigated, and that's when he got in trouble. He made some false official statements, and even some of the executives in the companies got in trouble, and they're pending sentencing also and whatnot. But now, if she had not done that, imagine, we would have never known. My research shows that Burke was retired at the 2-star rank. Now, because of his conviction, his sentencing, and obvious misconduct, the Secretary of the Navy can have him further reduced in rank for retirement purposes. The Secretary of the Navy can also move to initiate a board and have him drop from the roles. And what that means is zero retirement, zero pension, and he would lose his rank and a service. And in my opinion, given the severity of his misconduct, given the fact that he took a bribe while he's on active duty and then subsequently lied about it, and he needs to have the book thrown at him. It's important to senior officers to get the message that you will be held accountable and you're not immune to the justice system. So although we brought closure to this incident, I take no glee in it. To me, it's a shameful day that a senior officer was convicted and then sentenced to prison for 6 years. It's not a good day for the military. But here's the sad part about it. There's others out there, who may not have a mistress and whatnot, that have cut deals with a lot of these military-industrial complex contractors to make sure that they get highfalutin jobs. And so we got to come clean. We got to find these cockroaches, and we got to clean house. I mean, that's the bottom line. So that's the first part. The second part is we got to take it a step further. And in the past, we've talked about Senator Elizabeth Warren. She's got some legislation pending that she wants to bar senior officers for an X number of years, still open for debate, 4 years, 5 years, and whatnot. And so they can't go work directly for the military-industrial complex. And in my opinion, that legislation doesn't go far enough. We not only have to bar them, but we need to make sure that when they walk out of the Pentagon, that they don't walk out with their clearances. And the reason that that's important is because those clearances are worth a lot of money. Now, I get it. I get that many of these officers require the clearances in support of operations for the Pentagon. I get all that. If you have a direct connection with the Pentagon and you need clearance, you retain your clearance. But you should not have the clearance to go work for a civilian military-industrial complex. If they need to get you a clearance, then they get it. It's really that simple. Big lesson in this is, these people just didn't turn unethical overnight. This started decades back. They had this trait in them. Because the culture has sort of been making allowances for people that lack integrity, lack the moral fiber, that are self-serving, kept getting promoted. So when they reach the highest rank, let's say a 4-star general, they kind of look around and they say, you know what? Nobody can question me. I'm the absolute authority, so I can do whatever the hell I want. And that's why they started getting these shady deals. The importance of character and honor and integrity are so damn important in young officers, and we need to continue to nurture it. We need to continue to recognize it, and we need to continue to make sure that the right people get promoted. Because once they get to the top, and if they don't have the moral fiber, they don't have the honor and integrity, they're going to make a mess. And because they're always worried about their self-interest rather than the collective interest of the unit or the military.
But what do I know? We'll find out. I want to get a funny in here. Let's see. Here we go. This is funny. You guys like this.
Not pass! It's not your line. I know, but it's iconic and I wanted to say it.
Congressman, one of your constituents is here to see you.
I'm a little busy going over the spending bill, thing.
You're not playing with Legos again, are you?
Yes. Okay. Send them in.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me, Congressman. I know you have a super PAC schedule.
No, I basically do nothing all day and get paid for it by your tax dollars. It's a pretty sweet gig.
Okay, well, I won't take up too much of your time. I just have some concerns I was hoping you would address.
All right. Fire away. But let's speed this up. I only work 3 days a week, 4 hours a day for about 6 months out of the year. So my office time, pretty precious.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm concerned about government-mandated vaccinations. I mean, ever since the pandemic, I feel like the government and corporations are given more and more power to dictate what we put inside our bodies.
Here's the thing. I get paid an enormous amount of money by big pharma lobbyists to push those vaccines via government fiat. So I won't be lifting a finger to help either.
Oh, well, thanks for your honesty, I guess. Okay, next. I'm worried about the cost of living. It's astronomical. I mean, taxes, inflation, the cost of groceries. I don't know how my family is supposed to get by.
I hear your concerns, but there is a little snag. I love high taxes. The more taxes, the bigger the government, the bigger my paycheck. It's all connected.
Well, that's good for you, but what about the ordinary American?
Oh, I don't care at all about ordinary Americans. I do hope that answers your concerns. Nope, wait, I don't care if that answers your concerns at all. If I simply pay lip service to the plight of regular people, you morons will keep voting me into office and I can keep buying bigger and better Lego sets. And cocaine.
What is your position on reducing crime?
Oh, I don't care about that in the slightest.
What is your position on energy prices?
Oh, I don't care about that in the slightest.
Well, I would ask your position on Americans getting involved in foreign wars, but I bet you don't care about that in the slightest.
No, that I do care about.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Perpetuating endless war is one of the ways in which we grow government, raise taxes, inflate the currency, and that way...
You get a bigger paycheck.
Exactly. Now you're getting it.
I just thought that congressmen were supposed to represent our interests, not enrich themselves while representing the interests of the corporate lobbyists. Americans are struggling, and you're up here living the high life. I mean, I'm sorry, what are you doing?
I am nodding and looking concerned as if I actually care about what you have to say.
Government meddling and corporate lobbyists are ruining what makes America great. What happened to government for the people and by the people? What are you doing now?
I am pretending to write down your concerns so that you will think that I'm listening, but I'm actually writing down the lyrics to Steve's Lava Chicken from the Minecraft movie from memory. See? Also, if I actually was writing down your concerns, I would simply throw them away as soon as you left my office.
You're a terrible congressman.
Yes. Yes, I'm quite awful. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's almost quitting time.
It's 2 p.m.
That's correct. I have a 3 p.m. tea time with a pharmaceutical lobbyist, a 7 p.m. whiskey and cigar hangout with Jeff Bezos, and an absolute rager planned for 11 p.m. So much cocaine.
Well, thanks for nothing.
You're not welcome. I despise you. I've hated every moment of this interaction, and I loathe everything that you believe in, and your hair looks stupid. Okay, off to play golf with a lobbyist and cut a backroom deal that will cripple the economy and make life worse for everyone. Toodles.
High taxes, big government.
That was kind of funny. That's. I think I got another minute and a half one. Oh yeah, this one's really funny. This is again from the Babylon Bee. This is hilarious. This is giving rights to the narco terrorists as they're giving drugs. This is to help the liberals feel better.
Money we get from smuggling drugs. My favorite thing is how it ruins families. Hey, what's up? Hey guys, how's it going? You landed on the wrong boat, muchacho. No, I have the right place. I'm a public defender. I've been assigned to your case. We don't need no stinking public defender. What? I wore deodorant. Anyway, the U.S. government decided cases like these deserve due process, so that's why I'm here. Maybe we just cut you up, gringo. There's no time for that. See, you two have been charged with being cartel members, and I need to know how you want to plea. Yes, we are cartel members. That's why today is going to be a really bad day for you. I'm a public defender. I don't even know what a good day is like. Anyway, I really think you should fight these charges. We don't care what you think, Ese. Okay, I guess you're pleading guilty then. I really need to get going. What a crazy gringo. I don't like it when you call people gringo. That's an ethnic slur, and it makes me uncomfortable. I guess there's no point in filing an appeal. Now, how do I get to my next case?
Those are the only two funnies that I had. Two funnies. That's it. I enjoy the little funnies. Let's see what we have. Ooh, let's see. Got one more here. Why not?
Hours, we have witnessed the most dramatic shift in America's fight against leftist extremism in over a century. While most Americans were sleeping, President Trump last night dropped a political nuclear bomb that has radical leftists scrambling for cover. All the while, universities across the nation are finally taking action against their most radical and dangerous, destructive students. Stick with me to the very end of this video, because we're going to see how a line has been drawn in the sand for nation, culture, custom, and tradition. And for the first time in decades, that line is being enforced with the full power of the federal government, and the far left is absolutely freaking out. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And don't forget, make sure to click on that link below and take a quick visit to my brand new channel, my Turley Talks Clips channel. This is a channel where you can share everything you learn on this channel, but in quick little snippets. These are short, inspiring takes that help you think clearly so you can live courageously. And since these are the first days that we've unveiled the brand new channel, I would really appreciate it if you would go on over there to subscribe and also share it with your friends and family. It would mean so much to me. So just click on that link below or search Turley Clips on YouTube. All right, let's dive right in here, gang. We are now 8 days from the most horrific, murderous act that we have yet seen committed by what President Trump is calling radical left-wing terrorism in our nation. And last night, in response to this heinous act, President Trump made the declaration that millions of patriots have been waiting for. Antifa is now officially a major terrorist.
Being a content creator can feel like you've always got to be on, always live. It's overwhelming. So stream smarter. Upload your video to Restream, and we'll stream it live whenever and wherever you want. Maximize your audience and growth while Restream frees you up to do whatever. Morning, afternoon, or late at night, your stream goes live.
Organization. Taking to Truth Social, Trump announced, quote, "I am pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization." But here's what makes this announcement truly revolutionary. Trump didn't stop there. He's going after their funding sources. Quote, "I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices." So this means that the likes of George Soros and his network of dark money organizations are finally in the crosshairs, metaphorically speaking, of course. Now, what does this terrorist designation actually mean? Well, the legal implications are staggering. Once declared a terrorist organization, asset blocking becomes immediate. Financial institutions are legally obligated to freeze Antifa-related funds. Any material support at all, even suspected, automatically becomes a federal crime, meaning anyone providing money, goods, services, or even training faces serious prison time. Travel restrictions kick in, and the FBI's counterterrorism units are now fully mobilized against this radical network. In other words, and again, we've been saying this now for the past 8 days, the fact that Trump is now using the T word, radical left-wing terrorism, to describe the basic apparatus of the left means that he is bringing the full force of the federal government on the fundamental structure of the Democrat Party. It does appear that the Trump administration is indeed in the process of fully dismantling the basic network of the Democrat Party. I've been saying it over and over again. They have no idea what they unleashed as of last Wednesday. They have no idea what they have unleashed. And it's not just the federal government. One of the major fallouts from Charlie's assassination that the legacy media is desperately trying to hide from you is the fact that far left college students that have been celebrating Charlie's murder are getting expelled from universities all across the country. This is absolutely glorious. The ripple effects of our massive conservative cultural uprising are already transforming our educational landscape. In fact, the sheer scale and scope of disciplinary action against students right now who celebrated Charlie's assassination is absolutely unprecedented in modern American higher education. Texas State University expelled an unnamed student within hours of Governor Greg Abbott's direct intervention after viral footage showing the individual climbing onto a campus statue, declaring, "Hey, my name's Charlie Kirk," and then grotesquely reenacting the assassination by striking his neck and collapsing to the ground. Well, the only thing that now appears to be collapsing to the ground is that idiot's future. Texas Tech University followed suit by expelling 18-year-old Cameron Gazelle Booker from Dallas, who was not only kicked out of school after just grotesquely mocking Charlie, but also she was arrested for her behavior. Beyond these high-profile cases, at least a dozen faculty members and administrators across multiple universities have faced termination or suspension for their social media celebrations of Kirk's murder. Again, according to the Texas Education Agency, over 281 complaints have been filed against educators across Texas alone, with officials launching formal investigations into what Commissioner Mike Mora has called reprehensible and inappropriate content on social media, again, among educators. Make no mistake, this represents the largest coordinated crackdown on leftist extremism in our educational institutions ever, with the ripple effects extending far beyond the Lone Star State. Now, of course, you're not going to hear this from the legacy media, right? And that's, of course, because the legacy media often masquerades as objective journalism, when in reality, all they are is agenda-driven activism wrapped in the appearance of news. These narratives do not inform. They intentionally manipulate, leaving millions of people wondering, where on earth can we turn for the truth? Well, luckily, gang, there is a solution. Ground News brings together headlines barely mentioned on the other. I mean, it's the clearest way to see media bias in action. So, for example, here's ground.news/Steve. Click the link in the description. Universities. Unfortunately, primary and secondary schools are seeing a purge of teachers who celebrated Charlie's death. So in California, several teachers have been placed on leave, while a number of school districts in Texas have fired teachers that were found to have posted incendiary comments online. And even overseas, the hammer is dropping, if you can believe it. Oxford Union's incoming student president is facing disciplinary proceedings and a vote of no confidence after over 200 Life members signed a petition that, by the way, that's 50 more than required, following his social media celebration of Kirk's murder. Swing back here to the United States, the numbers tell a very clear story. We have now seen over $300 documented cases of disciplinary action across K-12 and higher education college campuses, with new terminations and expulsions reported daily as conservative activists continue identifying celebrants of political assassination. This represents the largest coordinated response to leftist extremism in American educational history, signaling a fundamental shift in how institutions respond to the celebration of political violence. And And of course, as you know, we've been reporting on this for the last several days, but the corporate sector has joined the educational purge with at least 8 major companies. We're talking NASDAQ, MSNBC, and the Carolina Panthers firing employees for mocking Kirk's assassination. We are witnessing a systematic crackdown on leftist extremism across America. Universities that were, in many ways, always the terrorist sleeper cells in our nation are finally realizing that harboring radical ideologies comes with severe consequences. The days of professors and students alike celebrating political assassinations without repercussions are over. For far too long, conservatives have played defense while radical leftists controlled the cultural and educational narrative. Charlie Kirk's assassination represents a true turning point because it finally exposed the true nature of our opposition. The mask got completely ripped off. Far from being peaceful protesters or anti-fascists, they revealed themselves to be domestic terrorists who celebrate the murder of those who dare to speak conservative truth.
I got nothing more to share. Well, yeah, I do. I got one more video if you guys really want. It's on the history of America's forgotten mints. Totally different subject, but hell, why not? You know, it is actually kind of important. History of America's forgotten mints from the history guy. About 14 minutes long.
People are familiar with the mint marks on U.S. coins, blank or P for the Philadelphia Mint, D for the Denver Mint. Less commonly, you see the S for the San Francisco Mint, and we still operate a mint at West Point, which uses the mint mark W. But fewer people are familiar with the fact that, for example, the Denver Mint was not the first U.S. mint to use the D mint mark, or the story of the many other mints that the U.S. Treasury Department has historically operated in the United States, each of which is intimately entwined with the history of the city in which they were built and the American frontier. The story of America's forgotten mints deserves to be remembered. Congress passed the Coinage Act on April 2nd, 1792, establishing the first national mint. Under the Articles of Confederation, the states themselves were authorized to mint their own currency, but following the ratification of the Constitution, it became imperative for the country to create a national coinage. This effort was spearheaded in part by Washington's Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton. As he wrote in his 1791 report to Congress, a nation ought not to suffer the value of the property of its citizens to fluctuate with the fluctuations of a foreign mint. The act also required that each coin feature an impression emblematic of liberty and several denominations not in common use today, the quarter.
Now, the importance of what he said to start the American mints meant that if we are beholden to another country to create our currency, or if another country is in control of our currency, we are not a sovereign country. That's why we have our mints. But in 1913, income tax started to fund the Federal Reserve that started, which is an imperialistic control of our financial system. So it didn't quite work. And that actually is breaking right now, which is another reason why we're having all these issues.
Eagle worth $2.50, the half eagle worth $5, and the eagle worth $10. Congress chose Philadelphia, then the U.S. Capitol, as the location of the first mint, and President Washington chose David Rittenhouse, a renowned American scientist, to direct it. The mint was the first federal building erected under the Constitution, and the building was eventually emblazoned with the words, "Ye Old Mint." The mint delivered its first coins in March of 1793, 11,178 copper cents. Today, two major mints in Denver and Philadelphia produce all the coins needed for the United States. But in the early days, large frontiers and poor roads were a problem minting all the coins in just one place, and especially out on the frontier where miners and mineral seekers needed a convenient way to turn their gold and silver into coins and bills and bars. In 1799, a 12-year-old boy named Conrad Reed pulled a 17-pound yellow rock out of a stream near Charlotte, North Carolina. His family used it as a doorstop for 3 years until Reed's father, John, brought it to a jeweler and sold it for $3.50 in 1802, less than $90 in today's money.
I did a story on that, by the way.
The world is coming to destroy yours.
The story of the 17-pound rock.
The jeweler,
after he sold that 17-pound nugget, walked back up that stream and found a 28-pound nugget. Continuation of the same story that John just elaborated on.
Later make a 1,000-fold profit on the rock, and John Reed, furious at being swindled, started placer mining on his farm. The North Carolina gold rush would underlie the need for another mint. Federal coinage was rare in the South, and the need for assaying or determining the purity and value of the gold was driving growing demand for the government to establish a mint in Charlotte. A German immigrant and jeweler named Christopher Backler created his own mint, and in 1831 began assaying and smelting quarter-eagle and half-eagle equivalent bars. He minted his first $1 coin in 1832, becoming the first gold $1 coin to be minted in the U.S., and between 1836 and 1838 would mint over $770,000 worth of gold coins. His business fell off when the government finally authorized several branch mints, including one in Charlotte, that opened in 1837 and used the mint mark C. The government, of course, had reason to be wary of private minting operations, and though they had declined several times, they were finally forced to bend to the public will. Almost simultaneously, a second gold rush was underway in the North Georgia mountains near the small town of Licklog. In fact, gold had been known in the area for centuries.
Remember these areas he's talking about? Because there's still gold in these areas, but there's no one doing no serious gold mining in these areas. Because after 1849, everyone went to California, and then America made it illegal to gold mine for like 20 years, and no one came back to Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Northern Alabama, Tennessee, Maryland to mine gold where it was first originally mined, as this gentleman's telling you right now.
Native Americans and Spanish, such as explorer Hernando de Soto, both panning for and using the gold as early as the 16th century. The gold rush wasn't touched off until 1829, and numerous people claim to have made the discovery. A man named Benjamin Parks claimed to make the first discovery October 27, 1828, but there are holes in his story. He originally claimed to have discovered it in 1827, but someone pointed out that the land ownership records didn't line up. Prospectors were already arriving in November of 1828, which seems unlikely if he'd only just discovered the gold a few days earlier. Another story says that John Witheroods was the first to find a 3-ounce nugget in Duke's Creek. And yet another story claims that Jesse Hogan, a prospector from North Carolina, found the first gold near Dahlonega. None of the claims have been definitively proven. Whoever discovered the gold, by 1829, a Georgia newspaper announced 2 gold mines had been discovered in this county. By 1830, mining operations had begun in earnest. Problematically, much of the land in northern Georgia belonged to the Cherokee, a fact that the miners and Georgia politicians were happy to ignore. The Cherokee called it the Great Intrusion, and the Cherokee Phoenix, a native newspaper, reported that men who regard no law and pay no respects to the laws of humanity are now reaping a plentiful harvest. We are an abused people. In 1832, Georgia decided that the fairest way to deal with the issues of land ownership was to seize the Cherokee land and raffle it off. Men paid $10 to enter and could win a lot of 40 acres. This also meant that any existing mines would change hands. It was in part due to the gold rush that in 1838 the Cherokee were forcibly removed to Oklahoma along the infamous Trail of Tears. That same year, a mint opened in Dahlonega, the town's name coming from a Cherokee word for yellow. This is the mint that originally used the D mint mark. Before the mint was built there, it could take as much as 3 months for gold to be assayed and a certificate to be sent by the Philadelphia Mint. Still, between 1830 and 1837, $1.7 million in Georgia gold deposits were sent to Philadelphia. Dahlonega would mint 1.5 million coins, worth more than $6 million.
Every one of those coins with the mint mark of D that you see right down here where my cursor's at, it's not from the Denver Mint, it's from the Georgia Mint before the Denver Mint was started. It actually has more numismatic value.
billion by the time it closed in 1861. The government authorized these branch mints to meet the needs of the local miners who could not get their gold properly assayed with local independent assayers who were often the barkeepers and traders themselves. And the last of the mints that were authorized in 1835 was in New Orleans. While Dahlonega and Charlotte produced exclusively gold coins, the mint at New Orleans wasn't created to serve a gold rush. Instead, the New Orleans mint was meant to alleviate the problem of coin scarcity in the South and West. It was estimated that in 1830, only one small coin, a dime, half dime, or quarter, existed for every person in the country. The U.S. was not even minting silver dollars, which they had stopped in 1804 because the American coins were being traded for underweight Spanish coins in the Caribbean. This problem was exacerbated by President Jackson, who in 1836 required that land payments be made in gold or silver. New Orleans was chosen for its strategic location as a trading port. It conducted more foreign trade than any other city in the nation. It would become the most important branch mint in the country and would mint over $300 million in coinage. All three branch mints were seized by the Confederate States of America shortly after their respective states seceded. All three minted coins under the Confederacy, mostly with the same staff. 887 half eagles were minted in Charlotte in the 9 days they kept it open. Claire Birdsall, a mint historian, estimated that the mint at Dahlonega produced around 1,600 half eagles and 3,000 gold dollars after secession. The New Orleans mint lasted the longest, minting just under 1 million silver half-dollar coins until April of 1861. The Confederates also seized the nearly $500,000 in coins that were already stored there. Only the mint at New Orleans would open again, and then not until 1879. It closed for good in 1909. On January 24, 1848, James W. Marshall reported finding gold at a mill he was building in Coloma, California, in what was then Mexico, but would soon be part of the United States. News of his find sparked the largest American gold rush in history. In 1852, the government decided to open the mint's fourth branch in San Francisco.
My wallet.
It's gone. Not getting that back.
In 1854, the mint officially opened, and its first year produced over $4 million in gold coins. The mint would outgrow the original facility to be replaced by the Granite Lady, an enormous building built to withstand earthquakes. It was one of only a few buildings that survived the Great Earthquake in 1906. It moved to a third location in 1937.
Now, how the hell in 1900 could they build a building that could survive a bigger earthquake than we've had in like 1986 out here in California that took down the Oakland Bay Bridge? And yet, like freaking 80 years before that, they could build an earthquake-proof building. Interesting, huh?
The mint was closed in 1955, though it took over proof coinage from Philadelphia in 1965 and regained its status as a branch mint in 1988. While the Civil War raged, Americans in the West were still living on hard times on the frontier, and prospectors were still looking for their big break. In 1848, a group of Cherokee, following the Cherokee Trail to California, found some gold in a creek in what would become eastern Colorado. The charismatic William Green Russell had grown up near Dahlonega during the gold rush and then participated in the California gold rush. He married a member of the Cherokee tribe and in 1858 led a party into the Colorado wilderness. This would eventually spark the Pikes Peak Gold Rush. Like earlier gold rushes, locals minted coins in the absence of the government, most prominently the firm of Clark, Gruber and Company. The government eventually bought the company out and opened an assay office in 1862. Though significant amounts of gold were brought to the office, the government didn't open a mint in Denver until 1906, giving it the mint mark D, since Dahlonega had been closed for over 40 years.
See, now that's the difference. See, this has a D mark on it as well, but the age of the coin and the D mark determines if it's the Denver mint or the Georgia mint with the D on it. So the value of the coinage, you can, so like Frostbite Coin starts talking about this. He tells you about the D and the mints and stuff like that. But the D at different times in history, in American history, meant different things. One was an East Coast D in Georgia, and then 50 years later, the D was a D for the Denver mint because the Georgia mint was closed. So therefore, because of the D at the Georgia mint, the coins minted there, numismatically, they should be worth more money because that mint was closed to where the Denver mint's still open.
It is the only U.S. mint mark to be used by two separate mints. In 1864, a branch mint was also authorized at Dallas City, Oregon, due to gold rushes in the region. But a series of...
What's up, Knackers?
delays, including the death of the first director on his way to the mint, meant construction did not even begin until 1869. The waning gold rushes and the creation of the San Francisco Mint essentially made the mint obsolete, and construction was abandoned in 1870. In 1859, news got out that gold had been found on the eastern slope of Mount Davidson in present-day Nevada. The real story wasn't about the gold, though, as the men there had found what would turn out to be the first major discovery of silver ore in the United States. Whoever made the discovery is up for some debate. The find is known as the Comstock Lode, after miner Henry Comstock, but it is clear that he did not discover it. In 1850, a young Pennsylvanian named Abner Blackburn was leading a party of Mormon gold seekers to California. As they waited for the snow in the mountains to melt, he went out to the ravines to prospect and found gold in small quantities in 3 places. It wasn't enough to stop them heading to California, but Blackburn left a name for the place in his journal, Gold Canyon. By 1857, there were others panning for gold in the area, but only a pair of brothers named Alan and Hosea Grosh realized that the thick blue clay that was clogging the miners' machines was not worthless, but was in fact silver. They tried to raise money to mine the silver veins that they'd identified, but life on the frontier claimed them both. Hosea injured himself with a pickaxe and died of the infection. Alan stayed long enough to borrow money for a good suit to bury his brother in, and then to pay off the debt for the suit. And by the time he and a partner started the trek over the mountains to find investors, it was autumn, and a troublesome donkey slowed them down until they were caught in a storm. They died without ever reaching California.
Harold has metastatic prostate cancer.
Harold
Like you, Harold has stuff to do.
Oh
He
my
takes
God,
you
he
back.
has stuff to do.
In 1859, Peter O'Reilly and Patrick McLaughlin made claims in the area. Comstock showed up shortly after they made their claim and insisted that they'd either jumped his claim or that he'd already owned the land as a ranch, according to later stories. He was able to coerce the two into letting him and one of his friends join them as partners in the claim. A local rancher named B.A. Harrison, about 10 miles from Comstock's mine, took some of the ore to be assayed in the town of Grass Valley by a judge named James Walsh. Walsh found that there was gold in the ground there, but more importantly, he identified the blue clay as silver. Harrison, Walsh, and some other associates hurried to buy or make claims on the lode. Comstock would eventually sell his claim in the mine to Walsh for $11,000. The rush itself didn't really start until Walsh sent 40 tons of silver and gold ore to San Francisco. By 1863, the value of the Comstock lode, so named supposedly because Comstock was a braggart and made himself visible, was so great that the U.S. authorized a branch mint in nearby Carson City.
The Carson
Though its
City
cornerstone
Mint.
wasn't laid until 1866, no coins were minted until 1870.
I actually, I think 2 or 3 days ago, did a video on the Carson City Mint.
The mint ran from 1870 to 1885, was closed for a time for political reasons until 1889, and then closed again for good in 1893.
Yeah.
It minted over $49 million worth of gold and silver coins, especially and perhaps most famously the Morgan silver dollar with the CC mint mark. The history of these short-lived, often forgotten U.S. branch mints is part of the history of the American frontier and the story of the thousands of men and women who went out to seek fortune and freedom in these isolated lands that held so much promise. And the existence of branch mints was a trusted edifice of federal power in these far-flung places. You know, before the ubiquity of U.S. coins in the United States were minted by whoever had a smelter and a press, and replacing them with U.S. minted coins was a significant, important symbol of the power and presence of the U.S. federal government on the frontier. The original mint in Philadelphia was torn down in the early 1900s as the owner couldn't convince the city that it was worth it to upkeep the old buildings. The mint buildings in Charlotte, Carson City, New Orleans, and Dahlonega all still stand and are all currently being used as museums. The original mint in San Francisco burned to the ground, but the Granite Lady still stands and after much renovation is used as a public space and can be rented out for events. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The History.
What's up, Hunter? So, what did you guys think of all that hooky pooky stuff? A whole bunch of stuff on the U.S. mints, mostly the forgotten mints. And if you, like I said, if you're into the numismatics, dude, you need to know about those forgotten mints because the coins that were created during those time periods from those mints, because they weren't around for that long. Again, most people know about the Carson City Mint. Most people don't know about the Georgia Mint that had the label of D, which is now known as the Denver Mint, but it was actually the Georgia Mint. The coins that were minted there are like probably worth 10 times more than the same year coins minted from the Philadelphia Mint or the San Francisco Mint, just because of the numismatic value of it. In my opinion, I don't know for exact numbers or for exact sure what the numbers are, but I know they're more expensive. But yeah, I don't have much more set up to talk about. So unless anyone wants to bring up some conversation, or I guess at the top I have pinned, anyone can come up who wants to come up and talk about bull crap, smoke some weed, whatever. I'm smoking weed right now, as a matter of fact. I actually, I haven't done this. Sunday, I received a letter from the World Platinum Council, and I haven't done an update on what they got to say, because really it's just like in a, I don't know, we're in a void right now with platinum. Nothing exciting to be happening for a little bit, but it will. But I haven't even read the letter, so I'll read, or the email. So I'll read the email and do a little research, and on Sunday we'll talk about that. I'm sure they've got nothing interesting to say unless they talk about digital platinum, which they're hoping will get the South African platinum mines a lot of money. But it really doesn't matter, because Clean Air Metals, once they start mining the platinum out of their shallow veins of a higher grade platinum than South Africans have in their mines, it's going to take control of power and price out of BRICS control and throw it into Western hands, and the price is going to go through the roof. And that's where you need to own some platinum. It really is still cheap right now. Even at $1,400, it's cheap. It's a lot cheaper at $900. I was telling you to buy then. It's now $500 more expensive, or as we say, 55% more expensive now than it was at $900 just less than 8 months ago. But oh no, it hasn't, silver, and that's a good thing actually, because if it doesn't move with the others, that means it's going to run like a son of a bitch on its own. And that's why I've told people the breaking of the price of platinum manipulation is going to break soon, and it's going to run like nothing you've ever seen. It's going to blow silver away, blow gold away. You want to buy when the price isn't going up. I'll say that. You don't want to FOMO in. I mean, you can. I'll FOMO into silver, because silver is going to go up to 100. I've always said silver is going to be a buy up until it's all-time high, which is 50. Because if it's going to go past its all-time high, you'll still make money as long as you buy it for less than $50 an ounce. It's just a matter of when. And that's with any market asset. Now, if you want to talk about making money, you should have listened to me on the energy market stocks. I believe OKLO is up over 1,000% in 13 months, blowing away gold, silver, platinum, and everything else out there, even a lot of crypto. Yeah, a stock blowing percentages away off of crypto. And the crypto halving that's been going on, ain't nothing come close to OKLO, up about 1,000%. Matter of fact, one division of Rolls-Royce is up over the past 3 years, 1,300%. So for those people that have blinders on and only look at one asset class, oh, I only look at gold and silver. Oh, I only look at platinum or cryptocurrency. Oh, I only look at stocks. Y'all are cheating yourselves out of so much opportunity. Each and every one of them has a good sector to it, and you can make money on it if you don't close your eyes to it. That's my perspective. I'm not stuck on any one certain asset. I could care less about any asset class. What I want to do is prosper. And to prosper, you've got to pick winners. So I don't pick winners just from one asset class and sit back and wait until that one asset class goes up and consider myself a winner. I want to win when every asset class goes up. Takes a little more knowledge, a little more research, a little more understanding, a little more geopolitical understanding of what's going on. But once you get there, you'll see, okay, energy sector for stocks. I said that over a year ago. It's been factually true. The energy sector is going to be a beautifully performing sector in America, because we're going to end up controlling the energy sector of the world. So, you know, yay for us. That means all those stocks that are good ones are going to go way high. So you got that stock going. Then you got to look at the ISO 222. Well, that has to do with crypto. So now we got stocks out of the way. Government's picked some stocks in the energy market. They want to win. They're going to win. Well, now the government's picked some crypto. They want to win. They're going to win. The government's already picked a couple precious metals they want to win. They're going to win. Why is everyone out there, most everyone out there, stuck on a singular asset class when your government's pumping out information, tell you which asset classes they're going to pump, which means each of the asset classes that the government's going to pump will win because they pump money into it. Just like Tesla, the Boring Company, and any other thing freaking Elon Musk touches, the government pays for it. You and I pay for that. It's called subsidies. He has so much subsidies running out his booty. He doesn't have to pay the government back, but a percentage of all the money he makes, of all the money that the government gave him. The government gave him our money. Subsidies. So if the government's going to throw subsidies at someone to make something work, invest in it. It's your tax dollar used to manipulate the market. Take advantage of it. All the information's public. There's a lot of good things out there for platinum holders, silver. The fact that there's a gentleman next year is going to be launching, or at the end of this year, launching a satellite to mine and several. There's like 5% of the asteroids out there are basically pure platinum and iron, and they've already identified them. And this one billionaire is launching a rocket later this year to get to a couple of the asteroids. He's going to be mining them for platinum. Each launch costing $15 million total cost, equipment and everything. It's going to send back $60 million worth of platinum monthly. So he's going to make $45,000 a month. What's that? Over $500 million a year. How's he going to make $500 million a year? Mining platinum from asteroids. Welcome to the real world, guys. How can you make so much money doing that? Well, there's a couple reasons. For one, platinum in asteroids is a lot more pure. It's not contaminated with all the other elements because it wasn't part of a planetary formation where the heat and pressure mixed it up with a lot of the other elements. So it's a more pure form of platinum. 2, environmental rules and regulations are out the window. You don't have to worry about them. And 3, we don't have enough platinum on this planet. And no one but me is telling you about it. We have a 3-month above ground supply of platinum, and then we are out of platinum. You're going to have to sit and wait. That means if there's industry out there, if there's medicine out there, if there's anything out there that needs platinum, they're going to have to wait till it gets mined and processed to get it. Is that happening with gold and silver? Not even close? Not for a few years? Oh, okay. Keep talking about the silver squeeze. The platinum squeeze has been ongoing. Manipulation has stopped it from price going up. But that's cool. Price is going to break as soon as Clean Air Metals pulls the first ore sample out of the ground from their Thunder Bay platinum mine. 79. I've seen inside your head. Space is not fake. Space is very real. And as far as any flat earther wants to believe, show me a planet out there that's flat. We can find them. We should be able to identify a flat, round disk planet with the Hubble telescope, and they should have told us all about it. Yeah, there are none. Oh, hold on, wait, they're hiding it from us. Yeah, there's a big conspiracy. That's just too big of a conspiracy to be realistic. No, space is real. Now, and as far as that goes, yes, we landed on the moon. That's real too. Major problem with us going back to the moon, people just seem to have a disconnect of, we used 20%, I think it was, of America's GDP to get to the moon last time we went. Right now, we're dedicating like 0.2%, 0.2, 0.3% of our GDP to NASA, and people want us to achieve the same thing with like 1,000 times less money. What's up, Mo? And that's like saying, hey, I'm going to go out and buy a Tesla with a $5 bill and they're going to give me the title. Well, how the fuck are you going to do that? Yeah, it's not going to happen. You need more money to accomplish that goal. To get to the moon, they're going to need more money. And right now is actually not the time for NASA to do it. Because if you know what's happening, our government's downsizing. They're going to get rid of income tax. They're going to get rid of the Fed. And you're like, oh my God, the debt, this, that, the other. No, because what you don't understand is our government has only grown in the past 50 years by increasing our agencies and government employees, needing tax dollars to pay for those government employees and those agencies that have overlapping regulatory control over the same thing. So you have three agencies over control of how to take a proper breath in America. Why do we need that? We don't. They're going to get cut. Private industry's taking over. I've already done reports on it in the space industry. The guy who sold out on Ripple, when the FCC started their investigation, he sold out for like $2.2 billion. They had to stop him because he would have crashed the whole system, and they took a few years to cash him out. He's building a private space station. There's 3 other billionaires building private space stations. NASA does not need to build a space station. There's going to be an abundance of space stations owned by private industry. The same thing's going to happen with other government agencies. It's getting turned over to private industry. It's not going to be taxed. Our taxes are going away. Tariffs will cover everything because taxes are going away. We're going to downsize the government, increase the size of private industry, and it's going to be more the way it should be, a capitalist-run society. Oh, I'm sure it's cut to hell. Every time I see the moon, I see it's flat. The sun's flat. Saturn's flat. Omega's flat. Betelgeuse is flat. I haven't seen one flat planet out there. So yeah, there's a lot of cuts, but not one of them, not even a leak from a whistleblower over the multitude of generations that we've been looking at space has come up with a thought process to think about maybe producing a disk planet. Unless we are just so unique that you cannot deny that God is control of a planet that is disc shaped, and it's the only one in eternity. It would have to be God that's in control of it. So if you're a flat earther, you obviously can't deny that God is your personal Lord and Savior, because he's the only thing that can keep that thing going, because there is no other thing out there like it. So, most flat earthers don't believe in God, so it's an oxymoron. Oh, dude, SpaceX is killing NASA, man. The newest thing SpaceX did that embarrassed NASA was the heat shielding and the expense reduction in heat shielding. The thing that killed those astronauts in the space shuttle, the heat shields, towers fell off and it blew up the space shuttle. Yeah, that right there. See, pennies on the dollar. New thing. Elon Musk just developed for his Falcon 9 or something like that. It's awesome. Private industry. I'll give an example. The expenses to the government to put a side view mirror on F-16 was several $100 billion because of the procedures, regulations, rules, and whatnot. It was cheaper for America to give $50 million worth of F-16s to Israel, have Israel put on a side view mirror, run all their tests in actual practice, and then sell it back to us, and we just replicate it. I know it sounds screwed up. It is screwed up. But by rules and regulations, it's cheaper and easier for us to advance our industries that way, rather than following the rules and regulations and safety protocols of doing it here in America. That's why the great thing about Trump wanting to cut rules and regulations, one new regulation cut 10, it truly is going to make an economic impact of momentous proportion. Silver Shelby, here's one for you. Why does Islam mean submission? And yet it's a religion that's 1/3 of the world, and they're all submissive like slaves. Let's talk about that one. If NASA means lies, well, Islam means submission. Isn't that a more important thing to talk about? You got 1/3 of the world that wants to be slaves. I mean, if you're going into word definition, let's not stop with NASA. Let's talk about all the other words and all the other deceptions. See how big the quote unquote deception really is. Then you'll find out even deception is deception. Then you'll find out it's not really been deception, it was all truth. They just manifested as a lie so you wouldn't follow it. NASA might have been a lie the whole way through. It doesn't matter. The final output is there's private industries going to space. So if NASA was lie, congratulations. The outcome of the... No, it's not submission to Allah. I'm sorry. Islam means submission, not submission to God. One of the meanings is submission to God. The main meaning, before the one that you came up with, is the Arabic form of Islam, which only means submission. There is another type of Islam that means submission to God. But that's why you also have Shiites and Sunnis, because they don't believe in the same Islam. And I think you'll find the Arabs are the ones that believe in slaves, because I believe it's in 1964, the Arab king, the Saudi king, told all of his followers, hey guys, quit bringing your slaves to Mecca. They have film and camera and video nowadays, and we don't want them to know we have slaves still. And then about 24 years ago, the, who was it? The Sudanese ambassador in London, was deported, exiled, deported, whatever, because he brought his slave with him and he was living underneath the staircase and the dude had his tongue cut out. So there's modern day slavery going on in Islam. That's why I say Islam means submission. No, it doesn't mean submission. It means only Islamics are submissive to God. Everyone else is submissive to Islam. If you read the Quran, a converter to Islam cannot be a true Islamic and is still seen as a second-class citizen to a true Islamic. They have a cult system. That's why I say Islam means submission, and they try and sell you on the niceties of it, but it's all bullshit. I'm not a slave. I'm poor. And I think you'll find the poorer you are, the less slavery, the less of a slave you are, because the less they control you with money. That's why you have the Stephen Colbert saying the stupid shit they say and get paid and then get fired, because they get paid to say the stupid shit. And they get paid real good to say stupid shit because they're controlled. People who are poor don't get paid to say stupid shit. They pretty much say what the hell they want because no one's paying them. So it's more real. Everyone you see on TV's got a big paycheck. They're getting paid and lie to you. Yes, they do. They follow different Islamic gods. They follow different Islamic gods. So there's two Islamic gods, the Sunni Islamic God and the Shia God. Thank God we only have one Christianity. And no, Roman Catholics, Lutherans, Episcopalians, they claim to be Christian, but Christian based meaning they say they draw their fundamentals from Christianity, but they are this. Not one of them, the religions I just mentioned, Lutheran, Protestant, Baptist, none of them are Christian. They're Baptist, they're Protestant, they're Lutheran, they're Catholic, Christians. That's like saying African American. What the hell is that if you break it on down? How can you be from both continents? It's like me saying I'm a Scottish American. No, I was born an American, but my family was born in Scotland. I was born in America. I'm an American. I'm not Scottish American. I differentiate different than other people when it comes to terminologies. A lot of people are too cavalier with terminologies, in my opinion. I do, 79, and you motivate me. Speaking of caliphates, how many caliphates have they had against us in the past 700 years since their creation? What, 437 holy wars against Christianity? How many holy wars have we had against Islam? 13? They've had 437. They continuously persecute and kill Christians. Just wait, look at what they've done to Buddhists and Hindus. Boy, talk about genocide. Holy cow. You know, Turkey used to be 100% Buddhist. Now it's about 95% Islamic. You want to know what happened to 95% of those Buddhists? They got killed. No one reported on it, though, because CNN didn't give a shit. Right. And as a matter of fact, you know what they're doing in Turkey and Iran? They're destroying old Buddhist and Hindu temples that are telling the histories of their people and our history as humanity. They're being destroyed because it doesn't convert to the Islamic perception. Why would they do that? Oh, that's right, because they got a false religion. And there's things there that point that out, so they destroy them. So that way you have no evidence. Good thing Christians don't have to destroy things to prove Christianity. Now, religions destroy things. The Roman Catholic Church destroyed a lot of shit. Lutherans destroyed a lot of shit. The Protestant Catholic wars in Scotland destroyed a lot of shit, both supposedly Christian. But yeah, they were killing each other. Yeah, there's a big difference, Mo. Because if you understand and you even can conceive what Islam is, I believe Muhammad, let me see. I'm going to try and get this reference as close as possible. He came out of the cave with semen flowing from his robes, blood from his sword, as he was beheading men and women of Christian, Buddhists, and Hindus, and raping 9-year-old girls. That's Muhammad, their prophet. Wow. Raping 9-year-old girls, has semen all over his garment, blood dripping from his sword from beheading Christians and Jews. It wasn't Hindus and Buddhists, Christians and Jews. You know, before Islam came around in the Holy Land of Judea, Christians, Jews, and Islamics were living together happily. It was well, not Islamics, but the base premise of what they were going to be before Muhammad came around and solidified it as a religion. They lived peacefully together. As a matter of fact, Muhammad is the lie of Islam. The truth of Islam is the son of the one of the 12 tribes of Israel, I think, of David, or one of the Israelis and the Jew and the true Islamic are cousins. They're literally cousins. It's a family feud going on between them two, and the Gentiles got pulled into it and are being used as pawns in that battle. I totally disagree. They have two different gods. One of them says it's still cool to be able to kill women that walk around without their husbands or brothers, without a headgear on. You can kill them, murder them, bury them, throw stones at them till they die. The other one says you can't do that. Another thing about Islam is their book, it's a history. The most recent passage is the thing they believe. The ones before that are bullshit. Yeah, and I'll give you factual information. I've flown halfway around this Earth 6 times. And when I was at 36,000 foot, I didn't see flat. I saw round. I know what latitude and longitude are. And you need to study what latitude and longitude are and wonder why it was such an important thing for sailing and how our innovation of sailing came along and why latitude was most important for that. Because latitude is only important on round objects, not flat ones. If the Earth was flat, we'd have no problem sailing from point A to point B thousands of years before we had the sundial, the sunstone, the Viking sunstone that could show where the sun was so they could determine latitude. Because as you go straight on a round object, you're not actually going straight, you're going right or left, depending on which hemisphere you're in. So you got to come up with a mathematical formula known as latitude and longitude to determine exactly straight. So to go to point A to point B, you actually have to take a curved route to get to it. Reason being, because the Earth is curved. But hey, it's an argument for another day. We can all bring our arguments to play. Once we die, go meet God. We'll find out which one of us was stupid, which one of us wasn't. No big deal. But know this, the one of us that's stupid over the one that's not stupid, you'll be held responsible for lying to everyone else. So if I'm wrong and the Earth actually is flat, I'll be held 100% liable for convincing people that the Earth is round. And that'll be my sin. If you're wrong and the Earth isn't flat, you'll have the same thing on you. You'll be held accountable for all the people that you convinced of the lie. So be 100% sure of what you say before you convince others of it. That's also why I don't like people going beyond the Bible on religious studies. Because everyone has questions and wants to know answers. And then they want to go out there and they want to express their feelings based on the new answers they found without realizing the responsibility that comes with information. Yeah, that one word, responsibility. It has a fleeting meaning to most people these days. Most people don't even care about it, but it's something you should care about, because with great power comes great responsibility. With great knowledge comes great responsibility. And if you're going to divert someone from biblical prophecies from the Bible that we are told to believe, you better have ass to back it up. Because if you deceive someone or you say something and they take it the wrong way and you don't correct them and they run off and they tell other people, that whole lineage of lie is on you. And that's why I don't like talking religion, because I don't want to take that liability on, because I've done lots of studies, years, decades of studies beyond the Bible. And I've had pastors who have retired with 35 years of service that are still volunteering pastoring up in Idaho. And a good friend of mine, and we talked many hours about everything he's learned and I've learned beyond the Bible studies. So I know pastors, take 8, 12, 16 years worth of college studies after reading the Bible. They do that to learn other stuff about the Bible. Very enlightening stuff, but they don't talk about it. You want to know why they don't talk about it? And they all go back to just the Bible for exactly what I said, because they're going to be held liable for that information. And if they give you the information that they learned beyond the Bible, and you misuse that information, misdirect that information, use others to take others off the path because of that information, it is all on them. Spiritually, they're held accountable. Dude, you need to take your soul very, very seriously. Eternity is a very, very long time. I never said it did say it was a ball, but it also doesn't say it's flat. So that's a moot point, 79. Just because it doesn't say it round, unless you can show a passage that says, God said the earth is flat, it's not flat either. So the Bible is out of it for both those arguments. Don't bring it into it. Here's another thing. Look at the crescent moon, solar eclipse that's going to be happening tomorrow. You have to go down to Antarctic. Only 0.2% of the world will see it. It'll prove roundness to you, unless you think the moon is also flat also. because you have two other celestial objects passing in front of each other. Either both of them flat facing us directly at that exact time, which is like multitudes of impossibility, but pretending even it did happen, that would be miraculous. And any other alignments also when it comes to celestial objects, all round. Grab yourself a telescope and look at the Hubble. They all show round, all around. Well, I can get some pictures right now, some astrophysicist dudes, and they'll show you some beautiful pictures. There won't be one disc shape in there. Not one disc shaped planet. Be lots of round planets, stars, suns, all round, not flat. You won't see no supernovas that are, or excuse me, planets fixing to go, or stars fixing to go supernova that are flat. The actually only flat thing out there would be a black hole. It's got a disk with a secretion to the disk, because it is actually disc shaped because of its elliptical. Well, it's like fuck. It's beyond 3 dimensions, but to our contemplation, our understanding as 3-dimensional beings, we can only see things in a 3-dimensional pattern, so we see it as flat. It's actually probably not flat, because there's a lot to black holes, so much so that we don't understand. They're still thinking we might live. Silver Shelby, you'll never prove to me that the Earth is flat. I respect you for having your opinion, and I choose not to argue it with you. You have your opinion, and it's yours to have. I have mine, and I expect to have the same respect given to me as I give to you. But I do, if you are going to say it's a flat Earth, please. From a little kid, I have had pictures of stars in my room, and I've never had a flat star, a picture in my room in, I don't know, 50 years. So they must be keeping it hidden from us for a reason, and doing a better job than a fake moon landing. You know, for as long, at least as long as my lifetime. I was born in 68, so they supposedly landed on the moon at the same time. So it'd be about the same years. They kept everything hidden about everything being flat and not round, just like the supposed fake moon landing. So I could see where everything's fake. That would mean that night is day, day is night, red is blue, and white is white. Yeah, or we can live in reality and not talk about our disagreements that we choose not to agree with the other on. I agree you have your opinion and your facts. I have my opinion and my facts. I appreciate you for being you. I'm glad you're American. I'm glad that we both are allowed to have our own personal facts and our own personal opinions. Yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah, but it also spins left or right depending on what hemisphere you're in. And a typhoon is actually only a hurricane that spins the other direction. But yet by words, we're convinced that it's something else when it really isn't. It's just a hurricane going in another direction. Why? Because it's in a different hemisphere, and gravity works differently on a round object. On a flat object, we wouldn't have that effect. But I understand, like I said, you have your point, I have my point. So let's agree to disagree and continue to be civil and friendly and nice, and I do like you. And I understand gravity doesn't exist. That's why when I fall, I don't get bruised and bleed at work. But I actually do, because I have fallen, because something was pulling me down, and it wasn't my want of to fall and hit the ground that was pulling me down. or having a nut fall and hit me on my freaking shoulder. Do you know a nut actually hurts if it falls 12 foot? A 1 pound nut? Woo! Man. Oh, damn, it could damn near break your freaking shoulder. That happened. But I understand gravity's not real. Actually, what gravity is, it's a wavelength. So, yes, it is real, and no, it's not real. It all depends on your perspective of what real is. According to astrophysicists and other physicists, they've determined that gravity is actually a wavelength that we're sitting in, and it actually has a frequency to it, as does most things. But that's for, like 8-year college students, not for my people on my show, because most people aren't that well versed at physicists and physics and math and all this other stuff. And I am not either, but I am aware of it, and I do keep up with it. And the basic new science is math science proven is gravity's a wavelength, which means it's actually not. It actually is from the spinning of the Earth, but the causality is a wavelength. gravity, the causality of gravity. Gravity is a causa. Fuck, how am I going to say this properly? The causality of the wavelength of gravity is gravity on us. Even if we weren't here, that wavelength would still be here. But it's not quite as simplistic as what Newton said underneath the apple of, oh, it's pulling down, so therefore it's gravity. No, actually, it's more sophisticated an explanation that, yes, it does pull down, but the actual physical meaning of what gravity is isn't what they thought it was. It's actually a frequency or a wavelength that's passing through our universe and not controlled by what we thought it was. So as our knowledge of physics and math grows, so does our knowledge of our universe. So in essence, you are correct, but at a highly sophisticated level, Silver. Most people don't realize that gravity is a wavelength and not actually from the center of the earth because it's spinning, but it kind of sort of is because of that, because it's part of the wavelength, or the effect of the wavelength is the spinning, but that's not the cause of the wavelength. So therefore that is not the cause of gravity. The wavelength of the frequency is the cause of gravity. And that's a much more sophisticated point and a lot more scientific than most people would understand. Oh no, we are spinning, but we're spinning because of the wave and the effect of the wave on the planet. But that's not why we have gravity. We have gravity because of the wave that we're spinning on because of. Even if we weren't spinning, that wave would cause gravity, but because of the physics of the universe, we're spinning because of that wave. And our basic mindset of physics as we know it, evolving as it is, was that the spinning caused the gravity, but the spinning was the cause of the gravity, not because of the. I think I said that properly. It could have been, you might want to reverse that. But yeah, gravity is a wavelength. It's got a frequency to it. Most everything does, or actually everything does. You could actually bring down a freaking steel bridge with the right resonant frequency. The Tacoma's Washington Bridge was brought down with the right resonant frequency. A steel structure by a frequency. A rhythm. So yeah, everything's a frequency. No, 79, you're dizzy because you took 4 of Mother's little yellow pills instead of 2. Now you're seeing Alice as she's 10 feet tall. It sounds better when it's sung by a female, I know. Especially if you go chasing rabbits. Actually, I can't play the song. I'll get a copyright. But it is a good song. Just go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall. Anyone want to come up here and bullshit with me? I'm getting freaking tired of talking by myself. I'm going to end it if no one comes up. Every fucking time I come on here, I put this thing up here for anyone to come up. And there's, you see this cheetah? You don't even get to see my face, so you don't have to show your face. You can even use a voice synthesizer. You can sound like Darth Vader. I don't care. I just get tired of hearing my own voice. I don't think you people are listening. Hey, what's up, Sean? You know, relevant to that, everything is irrelevant except for the here and now. And then your perception of the here and now, and your perception of what the next here and now will look like. And those are the only real things. How's it going, Sean? And that's why I say to be positive, because, and I'm actually hearing more about this from more YouTube shows. Positivity breeds positivity. One good deed in a drop of water, one rock, one pebble of positivity puts a 360-degree wavelength out of positivity. More people throw out positivity, the more waves of positivity you're going to get, the more positive results we're going to have as a society. So it's always better to be positive, just because perception is reality. And if we're all negative, that's why I don't like negative YouTube shows and people who do negative and sell like prepper. Oh, it's all going to end. Well, you know, hold on a second here. What's the other side of the coin of, oh, it's all going to end? Well, I know people don't want to believe it, but that's also, hey, a new beginning. So if you're not going to, you know, if you're not sure you're going to die because of, oh, it's the end, it's a new beginning. Prepare for it to be a new beginning. You know, I mean, it's the positive way of, oh, it's all going to end, because throughout time period, you can read many historical books. And I always go back to the most horrific that I can think of is World War I in the trenches, when they first used gas and chemicals on our own soldiers, on human beings, and the disgusting, the mustard gas, the cyanide gases we used on our own human beings. That's why they made them illegal. I could almost guarantee you those guys thought those were the end of days, you know, but were they? No. So the limited amount of shit we're going through right now, compared to you inhaling Clorox gas and dying from it and having your lungs fucking come out of your mouth bleeding till you die, and that not being the end of days, along with a couple thousand of your brothers in the same foxhole as you, same thing happening to them, or mustard gas hitting you and like peeling your flesh off until you die, and those aren't the end of days. I don't think the trouble we've seen right now even come close to what you should expect if it's the end of days. But if everyone keeps talking about it, even though it's not here, it's going to make it more miserable. Because if you really think about it, it's not close, bro. It's just not close, man. We were closer to the end of days in 1917, when we were using mustard gas, Clorox, chloride gas, and nerve agents on each other just because we didn't like each other, you know? So we actually made laws against it and haven't done that since then. So we haven't got more barbaric than 1917, in my opinion. Sound waves. Dude, Silver, you just brought something to my attention. I have a couple of videos of, and this, I don't know, I'll probably get a strike, and that's why I didn't show it. I'll have to go look through my history. How to defeat microwaves. And it's about, I think, a 20 to 25 minute video. This guy makes stuff from household goods that'll defeat the microwaves that you know, people who believe that the American government's going to be the oppressor and put us all in detention camps, they're going to use these microwave guns that'll put us all in compliance, because it, you know, that and water cannon guns and you know, smoke grenades and shit like that. But this guy makes a shield that is 100% microwave proof and stops microwave from going past the shield to where it doesn't affect you. I'll show that, but if I get a strike, I'll be pissed. But it is actually relevant information, possibly relevant information to know. And it might not be for everyone, household items, but for I don't know, maybe 50% of people, you'd have most of the items in the house, just put them together, and you'd have a shield that would defeat a microwave weapon. Does that sound like cool stuff? Oh no, it's going to be. I'll do it Sunday, Silver. I got to find the video. I know I've got like 379 videos to look through to find it, because it's in one of my play lists of saves. But I know I saved it because I was like, but at the time that I saved it, I was running on 2 strikes, and I didn't want to take a chance on getting a 3rd strike. And I think I'll have to check my. I believe all my strikes have left. And I'm running strike 3. I just got like 2 warnings, no strikes. So I'll give it a shot and see if I get a strike out of it. Hopefully I won't, but yeah, it'll be worth coming back for on Sunday. Again, information, even though we disagree on universal shit, I'm more than happy to fucking share this information with you guys next Sunday, or this Sunday coming up, on how to build a little shield that will protect you from microwaves and microwave weapons. Now, let me rephrase that. If the microwave weapon is like, if they got like unlimited power, it won't help you. But if they have like a you know, I don't know, 1 megawatt small modular reactor they're drawing power from, this shield will probably protect you. Anything like bigger than that, and I can't guarantee shit crap. But it'll protect you from what I know of now as microwave weapons that they use for crowd control. This shield will protect you from that microwave burst. And the guy shows it. He does the scientific readouts. He shows. You'll see it Sunday. I'll do it just because we mentioned. Hey, what's up, Sean? I already said hi. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, obviously everyone should move out into the country, because I'm a big advocate on growing your own fruit and nut trees. And like, I'm growing watermelons, potatoes, kale, tomatoes. We've got avocado growing, oranges, lemons, peaches, figs, all within 3 yards. Because over the past about decade, I've talked my neighbors into juicing up their yards to make it, a small urban, city food forest. Having said that, city food forest, meaning it's not much there, but more than in most neighborhoods. To where if we have a lockdown on this block, we have 2 40-foot avocado trees. We got like 4 orange trees, 2 lemon trees. What is that one? Apricot bush tree type thingy. 2 banana trees. What else do we have here? This is like within 1 house of me. Actually, more than that. We got my other. I forgot he's got banana trees too. Probably got like 8 banana trees. I mean, there's not enough to feed everyone year round, but more than enough that if we got together and had to, it would be more than enough to keep us healthy and subsidize our food, along with like stuff that I grow with everyone that I just mentioned in those yards grew. We'd have a good communal food network inside a city. But it would be a lot easier if I was out in the rural area and had 2 acres. Like, that's what I like about Alabama, southern Alabama, where I'm going to be going. You can do pecan trees. Imagine 3 pecan trees along with pear trees, orange trees, a couple apple trees. Holy cow, man, you just pretty much set yourself for not a full dinner, but a good food source. Pecans, good barter for other stuff. A good protein source. A lot of people will barter that. Pears, peaches, oranges, and apples. And then whatever you want to grow in the ground, corn, cucumbers, watermelon, tomatoes, potatoes. If you have an acre or 2, you can do that stuff. There you go, Sean. Sweet potatoes. Well, Silver, too cold. Then what you got to look at is apples. I believe most of what I prefer as a good tasting apple requires at least 40 days of frost, or else they won't fruit, which means they only grow and do well in colder climates. So you look to the colder climate stuff. I know for a fact they've got blueberries that grow up in Maine. It's just they got to wait till the right season for them to grow. Because when I was in the beekeeping and learning about the pollination, come up with my thesis on pollinators, I learned about from Maine all the way down to Florida, you could run, because of the difference in climate and time that you grow. You can start in the south and go north for pollination contracts. From Florida, doing the oranges all the way up to Maine, have like 6 stops 2 weeks at a time, or it'd be like 12 weeks. And by the time you get to Maine, you'd be doing the blueberry harvest. And then you come all the way back down south and you start all over again on a mobile, smaller scale pollination contract thing. It's a business I was looking to start. Sweet potatoes, I love. Have you ever grown a purple sweet potato, Sean? It's one thing I want to grow that I have not grown yet, is a purple sweet potato. And oddly enough, here in Northern California, for like 5 years, I've gone to the what is it? It's the Farmers Fest, where they give away prizes for like the largest pumpkin, the largest this, the largest that. For past 5 years, there has not been a purple sweet potato. So I've often thought, just out of humor, with growing a purple sweet potato and enter it into the competition as the biggest purple sweet potato. And because there is no other competition, I would win first place in the Northern California Farmers whatever thing they have. I don't know what it's called, as having the largest purple sweet potato. Not because it's the largest, but because there's no one else growing them. So I could win a first place on the largest purple sweet potato in Northern California. It doesn't fit right for me as a human being to be able to do stuff like that. But if I wanted to like build up a false resume, I could do that and show, yeah, I'm a great grower. Look, I got first place in Northern California for purple sweet potatoes. And if people didn't know the history of it, knowing that I was the only person to enter the purple sweet potato, that's why I got first place, you would think, well, shit, he must know what he's doing. So watch out about these certificates people have. Some of them could be somewhat fictitious. Dude, the purple sweet potato is the most healthy sweet potato out there. You know, if you cut them up into 1/8 inch strips and dehydrate them, you can feed them to your dogs. One of the best for cleaning their teeth and for their health. Little chewies, like a dog crackers that you buy. Make your own out of sweet potatoes. Purple sweet potatoes even better. Like I said, cut it up into 1/8 inch strips, dehydrate it. Perfect. I used to do it for my pit bulls and my Rhodesian Ridgeback. They loved them. And there's lots of things you can do. And also, like about a week ago, I did the live stream on watermelons. The white part of the rind, right after the sweet part, the reddish sweet part, you get into the little white part, and then it gets into the thicker rind. If you take a couple, slice bites out of that with the red juicy part, I don't recall the chemical that's in there, but the health benefit to your body is out freaking standing. It's a little bitter tasting. So I've been growing watermelons this year. So when I get to the end and to the rind, I just take a little nibble of the white rind part there to where it goes from red to white, like an 1/8 inch. You can tell it's a little bitter, but if you have part of that red water part of the watermelon, it's bittersweet. Tastes pretty good. And like I said, the health benefits are out freaking standing. And if you live out, I live in a city and I'm growing watermelon. I could do a lot better if I lived out in the rural country area, but you can do it in the city. I've grown corn. I've grown all kinds of crap inside a city. If you have a little bit of a yard, you can grow your soil. You're guaranteed your stuff will be top notch, healthy, organic, and a supplement to the processed food that we're fed and poisoned on. And all you need to do is offset the amount of processed crap that we're fed with nutritious, wholesome food, and you can stave off a lot of health issues while still eating, an amount of the processed food. As long as it's not a 100% processed food that you're consuming, if it's like a 50-50, you could live healthy off that and a good long life. Better, of course, obviously 100% healthy food. But if you were 100% processed food, boy, would you have some issues. Health issues probably after about 30 years. You talking about the white part of the rind of the watermelon or the purple sweet potato? The white part of the rind is a little bitter, like I said, but man, it tastes good if you have the reddish sweet part of the watermelon in the same mouthful. It's like a sweet and sour chicken. You got a tart and sweet watermelon going. But again, dude, it's like taking a mouthful of vinegar. You know, you might have issues inhaling some breath for about 30 seconds, but the health benefits for you out freaking standing. You know, taking an Epsom salt baking soda bath. You know, Epsom salts is magnesium phosphate. You know, a majority of Americans out there today are deficient in magnesium. If you take a magnesium phosphate bath, you obviously aren't going to be deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is what you need to intake and ingest more vitamin C. Your body can only process so much vitamin C without, I think it's magnesium. So you want to keep a high magnesium. That's why about 3-4 times a week I do a Epsom salt baking soda bath soak to increase my magnesium levels, and also Epsom salt and baking soda pull heavy metals out of your system, which helps clean you up on the inside. Growing your own food is awesome, Sean. I totally am enjoying the heck fire out of my watermelons, one after another. I planted 3 variety, and they're all sweet, but on a different level, different taste factors. You have a great one, Silver. Talk to you, like I said, Sunday. I'll look up that one video on the microwave shield. Anyhow, I've been going for about an hour and almost 2 hours. So since nobody wants to come up here and chit chat, I'll go ahead and cut this one off. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please do like, share, subscribe. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. And have a great freaking weekend, people. And be kind to each other.